When you stop caring about making more money, you're going to make more money and it's going to be so much fucking easier. It's going to be so much more effortless to call it in, to grow your bank account. So I'm so excited to be having this conversation with you today. This is a topic that completely transformed my bank account when these codes came through, when I started to actually embody what it means to not care about money. Holy fucking shit. My revenue in my business increased, my bank account increased. I was able to finally grow beyond the need energy because I was in this like pattern in my business for a while where I would only ever manifest enough for my needs. That was it. I'd only ever had enough for my bills. I would manifest around like 1K to 2K, anywhere between there in my business. And it was like that month after month after month. And I knew at this point, when I recognized this pattern in my business, I'm like, this is interesting. I'm not growing beyond this point. Why? So we started to do some digging, energetic digging, if you will. I, at this point, knew that it was an energy problem. I knew 1000% that it was an energy problem. There was something within me that wasn't allowing me to grow beyond that 1K to 2K point. There was something within me that didn't feel safe to actually call in overflow. So with this, I started to do some digging. And the reason why at this point I knew it was an energy problem is because prior to that, I had fallen into a strategy hole. For about 6 months, I would say, I was in this energy of something's wrong with my strategy, something has to be wrong with my strategy. And I was in this like fix it mode, trying to fix like my marketing, my everything, like just my copy, everything that I was saying. I was so fixated on my output, on my action. And I was convinced that that was the problem, that was why my business wasn't performing. And it was a really interesting time in my life because when I first started like showing up as a mentor and a teacher, I was just following alignment. I was just following intuition. I had no guidance. I had no idea how to fucking run a masterclass, how to teach a program. I had no experience whatsoever. But I had my soul guiding me and I knew that it was just something that I had to do. So I followed my intuition and I didn't ask any questions. I was in this energy of pure potentiality. I was in this energy of just like newness and let's fucking go. My intuition's leading the way this year. Let's go. And through that experience, it was my first month in business, having launched the masterclass, having launched the first program that I ever launched. And in that experience, I ended up having like just below a 10K month. And it felt easy. It just felt like, of course, this is how it gets to go when you follow your intuition and you're doing your soul's work and you're like walking in alignment with like pure potentiality and, I just didn't have anything to compare it to, right? So I was in this like bigness energy because I could feel it in my soul. I was like, I'm here to do fucking big shit. And if you're here, if you're watching this live, I know that you feel the same, that calling, that knowing that you're here for something more, for something greater. And I was walking with that energy. So after that point, I remember making a decision that I was going to reinvest the money that I just made into mentorship. And I've done that every step of the way in my business. I'm always investing in mentors because you just grow so much faster in those spaces. So I ended up investing in a strategy mentor though. And this was like the best thing that has ever happened to me because through this experience, I ended up basically like thinking, okay, I don't know how to run a business, so I need to invest in a strategy coach so that they can look over all of my copy so that I can like continue to grow from this energy. But what ended up happening is I started to give my power away to strategies, right? I started to give my power away to all of that stuff. And through that, my revenue started to decrease. It just went down and down and down. Sometimes I'd have like big months, but it was just going down. And it eventually got to a point where I was literally making $0 a month after $0 a month after $0 a month because I gave all of my power away to strategy. I started to overthink everything that I was saying. I was no longer moving with intuition. I was no longer moving in alignment. Instead, I was trying to do what everyone else was doing. I was trying to be somebody that I wasn't. So literally my clients couldn't fucking hear me. They couldn't feel me. So of course they weren't coming through. So it was just this really interesting time in my life. And I say it was the best time in my life because it showed me the power of my work. It showed me the potency of what I'm here to bring to the entrepreneurial space. And I really had an amazing opportunity to embody the codes that I teach clients. And through all of those experiences, I now help clients basically create the same thing that I did in my business through alignment and through fulfillment, through following your intuition, not doing it any other way other than following your fucking alignment. So that's why it was the best time in my life, because I was able to really grow from that place and really put my work into practice, and it was really magical. So I did that. And that's why I say, like, that was the point that got me from that hole of being in like $0 month after $0 month to actually experiencing the demand in my business that I was desiring. I started to like really attract those like high ticket clients at that point. And I think at that point, my high ticket offers were around like, was it 2,000, 3,000, something like that. Anyway, so, but something would keep me in this like this, what was it? This loop, if you will, or of just attracting, like, it's like the payment plans would come up in a way where like the recurring revenue in my business would come up in a way where it was just like around the $1,000, $2,000 mark. And that was all I would call in. And it was only enough for my necessities, never anymore, like I mentioned. So I knew at this point, something's wrong with my energy. Something's off with my energy. I'm not allowing myself to grow beyond this point. Why? Let's do the work. So I started to do some inner work here to figure out what was going on. You know, I was looking at my alignment with my products, how I felt around like receiving money, all of the things. This is what I go through in my one-on-one spaces with you if you need support in doing this. So that's a good place to get support. So we could like, you know, really dive into the nitty-gritty of what's going on behind the scenes. So this is what I did. I really dove into what was going on behind the scenes, and something that I could see, there were a couple things that were coming up, but a big thing was this like needy energy that I had towards money. Just this like need. It was just pure need with money. I cared so much about what money was doing in my experience. My every living, waking moment is so embarrassing to say out loud. But literally, this is where I was at. Every moment was thinking about money. Where's the next client going to come from? What's my bank account doing? Am I going to be able to pay off my credit card? Am I going to be able to pay off my bills this month? Am I going to be able to, you know, sustain another month, whatever it was? Am I going to be able to grow beyond this point? When will I grow beyond this point? Is money ever going to be different for me? Blah, 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 blah. There was just like, there was so much thought and power being given to money. Money was like a pedestal thing. Every piece of content that I would consume was from the energy of, I don't have money, so let me learn about how to make money. What do I need to do in order to make money? How can I increase my revenue, my bank account, all of the things? So with this, I noticed that that was like my frequency, and I knew that I just can't, you cannot call in money from this energy. You just cannot. You cannot. And I knew I wanted it so fucking badly. I needed it. I cared so much about it. Why? I want to like break this down for you. So if you're feeling like this towards money, let's actually peel back the layers so that you understand why. What's going on here? What's the frequency? Why was this making me a match to having less in my experience? The energy of want, the energy of need is coming from a place of without. I do not have. This universe, your universe, is a mirror. That's all it is. This is why I say things like divine timing doesn't actually fucking exist. You decide divine timing. You decide when you're ready for something. It makes no sense that the universe is like, I'm going to wait until she's learned this lesson. No, there's nothing like that. The universe doesn't care. It's not doing that. The universe is neutral. It's like, I'm just going to give you more of what you are. That's it. You say the sky is red, I'm going to give you the sky is red. I don't know why I said that metaphor, but you know what I mean? You create this experience. You decide what you see in your reality. And this is one of those experiences where it's the same thing. It doesn't change with money. So if I'm operating from an energy of lack and without with money, then doesn't it make sense that I'm going to attract more of those experiences where I do not have money, where money doesn't show up for me, where I'm always in this energy of want and need with money? Because that's what I'm feeding momentum. That's what I'm literally creating with my energy field. I'm creating a scenario in which money is hard to get, hard to come by. And so many people are in this energy in society because it's something that we've been taught. Like, it's just like everything in our society revolves around money, and there's just so much like need and want being projected onto money. But that is the frequency of without. I do not have. So every movement I made in my life, whenever I would interact with money, whenever I would spend money, whenever I would talk about money, sometimes I would try and be like, no, money is an abundant resource, blah blah blah, but I didn't feel that deep down. I didn't feel it. I felt like it's just something I had to say because that's what people in the community say, right? I was just like, I have to make sure I'm talking about money from an abundant energy, but I didn't feel abundant. And the thing is, it doesn't matter what the fuck you're doing in your outside reality, what action you're taking. It's the frequency behind the action you're taking that actually matters, that actually creates worlds, that is what transforms your experience or keeps your experience staying the same. It's up to you. It's your frequency. It's your energetic expression behind the action. So behind words like this, I felt lack. I felt like money was still sparse. I felt like I couldn't get money. I felt like money, I was still in this energy of need and desperate want with money. And as soon as I saw that, I took responsibility. The thing is, manifestation is a really simple concept. What you feed energy is what manifests into your experience. And this is a big part of the work that I do, because accepting responsibility for things in your life that you're not happy with, so to say, right, gives your power back, because you're like, okay, well, I can look at my current situation and be like, okay, my choices, my thoughts, my energy has brought me here. So now I have the power to change it just based on those things alone. And it's a powerful place to be, because not only do you see, well, the manifestation process really fucking works, right? What you feed energy is what you manifest. It's what you experience. So not only do you see proof of the manifesting process, but also you have a situation where you're like, wow, so then this means that I get to decide what happens from here. I get to decide how I move and where I go. Such a powerful place to be. So I had this same moment where I was like, okay, take responsibility. It makes sense why your financial reality has stayed the way that it's stayed. It makes sense why you're in this pattern. We're going to take responsibility over that. I'm aware of the thought processes that are keeping me in this misalignment with the financial reality that I actually desire. So now let me create some change. Let me be different. So what I did here, and I would love for you to do this as well, is after this live, connect to the version of you who is in your preferred financial experience, whatever that looks like for you. Don't just focus on what you have though. Don't focus on so much like the number in your bank account. Focus on the feeling, right? Really extract the feeling, the state of being that that version of you is in. That's what you really want to focus on. Who are they being? How do they feel about money when they talk about money? How do they interact with money? How do they see their bank account? How do they see money? How do they walk through the world? What do they think about? Where do they spend their time and their energy? So I did this practice with myself, and I really connected to the version of me who wasn't worried about money, who operated through a lens where money was an abundant resource in their reality, where they trusted money to show up for them, where money did show up for them. It's 11:11 as I say this. I love that. I had to say it. Right? I was this version of myself. I connected to what they thought about throughout the day. If that's what money was, if that's how money showed up for them, how do they walk throughout the day? What do they think? How do they feel when they actually spent money? How do they show up in the business? And I got to see who that version of myself actually was and how they move through life. And I was able to make notes to be like, okay, when they create content, they're not creating content from an energy of how do I make more sales? They're creating content from a place of the sales are already there. It's already guaranteed. It's already here. What does my community need to hear from me today? What do I feel inspired to share? What's alive within me that needs to come forward? What do I need to how am I, for example, I'm like what am I trying to say? So for example, with the business, I'm just like, how do I commune with the spirit of my business? Right? So that was a place that I was in this reality that I was wanting to align to. And whenever I had a spare moment, I wasn't sitting there thinking about where money was going to come from and if my bank account was going to grow. I was thinking about, what am I going to do on the weekend? Isn't it going to be fun to go to this new dinner place? Oh, I really want to go to the beach, right? Oh, I really want to go to this cute little place that I saw. Whatever it was, I want to see this person, right? I want to rest. I want to read my book. I want to, whatever it is. I was actually living my life. I had a fucking life. I had a life outside of what money was doing. I wasn't in this constant I need money, I need money, I need money. It was like, no, the money was there and I could breathe. It was this exhale experience. And I felt safe. I felt safe in life. I felt safe in my business. I felt safe following my intuition and letting an energy lead. I felt safe trusting myself and I felt safe trusting money. And it was such a different experience to the one that I'd been in, which was perfect because now I knew exactly who I needed to be in order for me to make that reality my reality. I knew exactly what needed to happen, what changes needed to occur in my frequency in order to be that version of me. So I want you to do this for yourself and figure out who that version of you is. Now that you know who you've been and you've taken responsibility of that, the frequency that you've been operating in, it's time to take back your power. It's time to become and operate as the version of you who has your financial desires. Now, through this process, you're going to notice that a lot is going to come through. A lot is going to come through. You're going to be hit with the version of you who has been resisting this next level, because there's a reason why you haven't been getting to this next level. The thing is, we only hold on to ways of being, whatever it is, whether it's negative or positive or it's helping you or not helping you. We only hold on to limiting beliefs and things like that. And I've created a live on this. So I highly recommend going to check that out if you want to dive deeper into that conversation. But we only hold on to those things when we actually believe that they're serving us. So there's a reason why you've been hanging out in the energy of need and lack and without. It's a safety mechanism. It's a familiarity point. So it's not going to be as simple for you to just shift the frequency into what you want. That's why when people talk about this concept, so many people don't experience success with actually changing their life, because this isn't as simple. This isn't a simple okay, you've been here, now move here. There's a reason why you've known, you've likely, as we're having this conversation, I know that you've likely know that you are meant to move here. I know you know what that version of you is operating like, but you haven't been able to actually get out of this needy, lack-based energy because there are reasons why you're staying there, right? There are reasons why. So for example, if I use my own story as an example, there were reasons why I was hanging out in that need, lack-based energy, right? It was because that first of all, I'd experienced so much non-success, failures, if you will. Failures, because what's really a failure? I don't believe in failure, but failures, if you will, where I felt like I put my heart on the line. I set out to get this manifestation and then it didn't go my way. And then it went like backwards. There were so many situations where I felt like I failed. There were so many situations where I felt like the universe failed me. There were so many situations where I felt like I failed me. There were so many situations where I had called in money and then I burnt it all down to the ground. I spent it all. So there was this lots of like distrust with myself to actually hold money and go beyond this need point, because I didn't trust myself to even call in money. There were past situations with money, like for example, my family went bankrupt twice in the business that we had that I was holding on to. I had so much fear about actually growing a business and growing beyond basically the tax threshold. So there was so many things that were there underneath the surface that were keeping me in this need lack based frequency, and that was actually keeping me from becoming the version of myself that I was here to be. So I had to, in order for me to be able to move into this energy powerfully, it looked like addressing all of that underlying distortion, limiting belief and resistance again and again and again and again until it stuck, until I was able to move out of that frequency powerfully and into the frequency that I actually desire. Now, this is what I want to remind you of. This is what you need to do. There's a reason why this process isn't as simple as like, feel this now. So like, it's a simple process. Yes, it's like a simple concept. There's literally nothing more to it other than be the version of yourself in the reality that you see, move as that version of yourself, spend money like that version of yourself, think about money as that version of yourself, right? When you do that, yes, you're naturally going to call in that experience, because manifestation is a simple concept. What you feed energy for long periods of time is what will manifest. But humans are multifaceted. There are many reasons why we do what we do. And the thing is, when you're holding on to limiting ways of being that are limiting money, that's limiting money in your finances, it's for a reason. It's because it's serving you in some way. It's helping you, right? So in order for you to actually deal with it, in order for you to actually shift into the reality that you desire, you need to deal with that underlying distortion. Some people don't, or they deal with it on a very superficial level, and this was me for a long time, where they end up manifesting change. And this, again, it was coming from a needy place with money, but it was like I wanted it so fucking badly. I wanted the money to come in so badly that I would fake my frequency long enough for the money to come through. Because like I said, manifestation is a simple process. You want money to come into your experience, feed that reality for as long as you can, it'll manifest, right? So that's what I would do. I would feed the reality of like the money being there, and it was like an uphill fucking battle because I was fighting all of this internal resistance. But then eventually large sums of money would come through, and then I'd feel this like short-term gratification, like literally for a split second, and then I'd go into freaking the fuck out. How am I going to hold this money? How am I going to sustain this money? How am I going to make sure it doesn't run out? What happens from this place? It runs out. I'm not calling any more in. Suddenly there's a cap on my finances, and then I'm just like watching the money go out and go out and go out and go out and go out until I reach my baseline financial reality, and then I have to fucking do it again. And it was this fucking cycle again and again and again. And it's because of this underlying resistance. And so many people manifest from this place. They're not working with themselves. They're not working with the resistance, with the doubt, with the limiting beliefs. They're not working with the ego in order to actually bring your whole self along and create change in your financial reality from a solid foundational energy, from a place of fucking just, what's the word? From a place of just stability, true fucking internal security and safety and freedom. That's what happens when you work with these parts of you, when you know how to work with these parts of you, when you know how to bring your whole self on board. Not only do you actually get the manifestation faster, like I kid you not, if you did this, like if you really fucking committed yourself to doing this for at least a month, every single day, every moment of the day, you committed yourself to like focusing on your energetic expression, bringing all parts of you along, dealing with like the limiting beliefs, the doubt and all of that, your financial reality will look completely differently in just a month. Sometimes even faster than that. It depends on who you are. It depends on how much momentum you have in your reality towards the reality that you desire. But this shit is fucking wild with how quickly it gets to work. This is like the big thing I want you to understand as well. Sometimes when people see that they have like a lot of like work to do with their finances, like with their relationship to money, the thing I like to say is like, who fucking doesn't? We all do. Like, look at the Western society that we've grown up in terms of like how we've been taught about fucking money. So many of us are carrying these wounds around money, these limiting and distorted feelings towards money, right? So many people have these distorted, like, money is just such a fucking hot topic, and there's so many opinions, there's so much distortion around it, so we all do. We all do. I still have so much that I'm working through with money. But the thing is, I'm still able to grow in my finances. I'm still able to attract the experiences I desire to have with money. I'm still able to play in my dream financial experiences because I do this work. I'm not afraid to see my shadow self. I know how to work with my limiting beliefs. I know how to work with my resistance. I know how to bring that part of me along. I'm not afraid of those emotions. I'm not resisting myself. I'm not resisting my past. I'm not resisting my trauma. I'm bringing it along. And as a result, I grow. I'm not in this like weird fucking 1 foot out energy with manifesting and 1 foot in. I'm not like building something and then burning it down to the ground and building something and burning it down to the ground. Instead, it's just this like, it's this energy of, I see what I need to see. I see the shadows. I'm doing the healing work. It's like happening all at once, and I'm growing at the same time. And it's so much more powerful to actually call in money from this place. It's so much more sexy to receive money from this place, to actually receive money from an energy of like, yeah, I've created this, like this is amazing, and have your heart open to money. It's just so much better than the experience of feeling like you're holding your breath and then the money comes in and you're like, I can't exhale, I'm scared I'm going to lose it all, right? And just constantly being in the fucking brace position. And that's the thing, like that's not what you want with money. That's not what you want. That's not why you're here. You don't want that experience. You want money to be something that provides freedom in your life. Options, safety, security, right? That's what you want. And the thing is with this, like these things don't come from money. This is like the biggest wake-up call. These things don't come from money. And this is why I say, when you stop caring about money, you recognize this. Because you create these feelings independent of money. I've been in situations where I've had literally 30K sitting in my bank account and I felt the most fucking unsafe I've ever felt in my entire life, because money does not create safety. Money does not create security. You do. You do. 30K in my bank account was the scariest thing in the world to me. I felt like I couldn't take a breath. I was in brace position. It was the worst. And not because I had the 30K there, it's because it was highlighting my frequency. It was highlighting who I was at the core. Because that's what money does. That's what more money does. It highlights more of who you are. And I realized when I ended up like burning that all down to the ground, and like I ended up like around $1,000 in my bank account and in my savings, and I was like, wow, it's wild that even like I remember being in this exact moment where I was looking at the 30K in my savings and feeling the exact same way, feeling just as without, just as much lack, just as much need. Money does not provide those things. You provide those things independent of money. And when you give yourself those things, despite what your bank account looks like, despite what money does in your reality, this is what it actually means to be the leading energy of your finances. This is what it means to be able to attract money effortlessly, grow your bank account effortlessly from an aligned energy, because you are your point of focus. Money isn't your point of focus. You are your point of focus, because you care about the underlying distortions that you have. You attend to your needs, right? You bring your ego along. You're literally, you don't source from your outside world for safety, security, and all of those things, you source from within. And naturally, because this universe is a mirror, the universe delivers. The universe shows you those things, but you don't rely on the things in the 3D in order to feel that way. Because the things in the 3D can be ever changing, but you rely on yourself. You rely on yourself. So no matter what's happening in the 3D, you create from this internal inner power. So this looks like being the person who can literally empty your bank account on one day and then attract literally 10 times that amount that you spent in that one day the very next day. Right? Because you don't sit there and hold your breath when money's flowing out of your experience. Because you understand that money is responding to you. That money is a byproduct of your safety, your freedom, your alignment. Right? And you operate from that frequency. Powerful place to be. A really fucking powerful place to be. You're not sourcing from your outside reality, you're sourcing from within. And this is actually true freedom. This is power. Let's just sit here. This is power. So, I am going to end this live here. I feel like it's coming to an end. But this is what I mean about not caring about what money is doing, because the version of you who has what you want isn't sitting there caring about money every second of every day. They aren't holding their breath waiting for money to come in. They aren't worried about when the next sale or payment or whatever it is going to come through. They're not worried about that. No. They're in this energy where that is already happening in their reality. It's already assured. Signed, sealed, delivered. It's here. It's for you. You're welcome. Right? They're living their life. They're living their life. They're not thinking about money. They operate as if they have money because they do. Such a powerful place to be. And if you actually need support, I didn't even mention this. Oh my gosh, I nearly forgot. If you need support in this and actually dealing with that underlying distortion that's keeping you from becoming that version of yourself, embodying that desired reality, then I have a resource that is going to make this process so fucking easy for you. It's called Anchored, and it's an embodiment tool that I've created because this is what I used during that time in my life where I knew that I needed to make changes. I ended up creating like little anchor points for me, just like little reminders every single time I noticed my frequency go into doubt, limiting beliefs, resistance. I created anchors to remind me how to actually work through what was coming up and align to the reality in which I desired every second of for everything, every second of every moment of every day. This is what I did. I leaned on my anchors, and this was my accountability portal, because it was just a reminder of like, not this, not this, right? This is how we work through this. This is how we're going to move through this, and we're going to bring this part of us along, and we're going to anchor into this. And this completely changed my life. This completely changed my bank account. This changed my relationship with money. It was the most powerful thing I've ever done in my entire career. It was this. So I knew I was going to create this. I knew one day I was going to create this for you because it's just so fucking powerful. I didn't want to create another course or a masterclass or anything like that because I just noticed, like I have taken many masterclasses and courses, and yes, they're transformational, but I noticed there was a lot of like short-term highs, right? And with these clients, I would notice that there wasn't much change occurring in their reality compared to my one-on-one spaces. And I really started to like look at the difference between courses and one-on-one spaces, and I started to get really curious around that because I was like, oh, there's like just this next level of like growth that happens in a one-on-one space. And you know, that makes sense with like the investment point and the one-on-one support. It's like a spotlight is on you. You can't hide in a one-on-one space. They're really powerful for that reason. However, I wanted to know, like, could I create something similar for people that maybe can't do a one-on-one space, or they can do one-on-one space, but they just want that extra like oomph, right? Whatever it is. So I was like, I wonder if I could create a resource that is like, gives you the similar results as like a one-on-one space does. And that's where this embodiment tool came through, because I was like, wow, this is going to be so powerful. So it's like literally a library that you follow. You use it like you would a mentor, right? So if something were to come up for you, you would go to the library and you would click on the trigger that's coming up and you would listen to the prompts there. So I literally walk you through, like, you will be left with no questions. Yeah, I'm literally telling you step by step. Okay, if this trigger's come up with money, like for example, you're closing off your heart because of past disappointment and failure that you've experienced, this is what I want you to do. This is how you're going to feel the emotion and acknowledge the emotion so that the feeling passes through, and so that you don't bypass, so that you don't do the superficial manifesting bullshit that creates the short-term gratifications, right? The short-term highs. No, it's like, how do we deal with this powerfully? Okay, and this is how now you're going to shift this energy in a powerful way. This is what you need to know. This is how you're going to actually shift. I'm literally giving you a step by step on each little individual trigger that comes up. So that's just one, right? And then there'll be another one for, okay, when you're feeling like you can't trust yourself to hold money, right? So you'd go there and be like, okay, what do I need to do to actually work through this feeling? Because that's all it is. You just have to know how to move beyond the version of yourself that you've been and actually go into the version of yourself that you're becoming, right? And you need to know how to actually bring this part of you along, so you're not fighting against yourself. So there's not this like internal war going on. Instead, you're working with yourself. You're bringing all parts of yourself on board. And this is when you're creating your preferred financial experience from fucking sturdy foundations. This is when you're building from a really like powerful and abundant place. And this is what actually makes money easy. This is what makes money effortless. This is what it means to actually be a magnet to money, but from the energy of actual like pure receptivity and pure freedom, because you're literally creating that from within, right? You're not holding your breath until you see what you want to see in your 3D reality and then burning it down to the ground and, just in this constant like rat race with money. You're not giving your power away to money. No, you're the leading energy of money. Money responds to you and you operate through this lens of power. You treat your energy as this like sacred, powerful tool that it is. So, Anchored is for you if that is what you desire. I'm going to leave more details in the caption below. If you have any questions about Anchored, I'm so happy to have a chat with you to discuss whether or not this is the right resource for you. I'll always be super honest with you. If I think it's for you, I'll let you know. If I don't think it's for you, I'll let you know. So I always respect your no. I respect your alignment. So DM me if you want to have a chat, if you have any questions at all. And I'm going to leave the live there for today. Thank you so much for joining me for this discussion. I'm so glad that we got to dive into it. It's just such a powerful conversation to have. And I'm sending you